Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Nnamdi. Concerning the topic about Nnamdi Kanu trending on social media, another news is that the indigenous people of Biafra has asked federal government to tell them the cocoa for the matter waiting for Nnamdi arrest, saying whether the arrest dey for government book of law. E get anywhere for government book of law we say Nnamdi arrest dey, you know whether e dey genuine. Then they come, they want government, then they want federal government say as Nnamdi dey for DSS place. So if anything happen to Nnamdi's hair on his head, say kasala go burst serious one. Oh. They come say because na federal government kidnap Nnamdi, so say he no commit any crime apart from saying the air in own, in freedom of speech and rights. Say he no commit any crime wey dey for law, say where them go arrest him. But anyways, here the matter arising and what these lawyers have to say about Nnamdi Kanu's arrest. One of the lawyer is for Nnamdi Kanu and the other lawyer is for the government. Keep watching, guys.
Lawyers Fred Nzako and Jide Ologun to discuss this new development. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
Let me start with you, Mr. Nzako, what your reaction is to this rearrest of Nnamdi Kanu, seeing that in 2017 he jumped bail, though he was arrested in 2015, but according to him, he fled because of his life.
Well, my reaction is the same with that of most Nigerians who feel that Nnamdi Kanu receiving the short end of the knife from the federal government. Recall that he was arrested in 2015 and then kept in custody for 2 good years without trial, over and against all provisions of the law, over and against all pronouncements of court that he should be either taken to court or be released on bail. But federal government refused, neglected and denied to grant him his constitutionally guaranteed right. And then even when he was eventually taken to court, the same federal government, through the instrumentalities of coercion, sent the military to ransack his community and threaten his life. In the process, many people lost their lives. It is not hidden. And in the course of this struggle, Nnamdi Kanu has lost both parents, and even though not killed directly by the federal government, but the trauma of his ordeal may have led to the death of his parents.
So?
The trauma of his ordeal. He said so himself. I don't think so. He said so himself.
Right.
And a man was on bail, and then he was ready and was going to court. And all of a sudden, the soldiers swooped onto him, and then, of course, it is only a tree that will hear that it is about to be cut down and remain standing at that spot.
So it was right for him to jump bail?
Every human being, every animal, not just a human being, that feels threatened by any way, in any manner, will likely shift ground. So, if Nigeria begin to look at the narrative of jumping bail, that would be unfair to Nnamdi Kanu. The narrative is that, yes, very unfair.
Why
the
so?
narrative is that his life was threatened, obviously threatened, and he had to run away, which is a national stimulus of every human being and of every animal. Even if you have a goat at your backyard and you approach the goat with food in one hand and with stick on the other hand, the goat will reject your food.
Don't you think that while he was in custody, his life could also have been threatened if that is what government was trying to do?
Why did you not ask the soldiers what they went to do in his house?
Right.
That should be the right question. What did the soldiers go to do in his house? In the process, people lost their lives. What did they go there to do? At that point, what did he do? Even if you have committed any offense in the eye of the law, or
right,
in the opinion of the government, what did the soldiers go to Nnamdi Kanu's house to do?
Wasn't he being investigated at the time? When
he was enjoying the bail granted him by the court after 2 years of unlawful incarceration? These are the critical questions, because I like to analyze issues based on cause and effect.
Right.
What was the cause and what happened to be the effect. The cause is that federal government acted very unlawfully. The cause is that the soldiers went to his house unlawfully. The cause is that his life was threatened. And the effect is that he had to run away, which is the natural stimulus of every animal, not just every individual.
Let's get Jide Ologun's reaction to the statement that you have made. He said government acted unlawfully, and it was the effect of that that made Nnamdi Kanu jump bail.
Nnamdi Kanu himself mentioned the fact that he could have been killed with the others who were killed in his residence when the military came invading. And that's maybe a valid argument. But the issue now is that he has been rearrested. He was going through trial. And if you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, Section 36 or Section 5 in particular, 1999 as amended, he's entitled to what we call presumption of innocence. There are allegations against him of instigating terrorism, different charges. And unless these allegations are proved beyond all reasonable doubt in the criminal justice value chain, he may not be convicted. So it's now for the government. But my concern really and my fear is that with recent developments in the country, for example, the high level of insecurity, wanton destructions in the southeastern part of the country that he is allegedly instigating even from abroad, it may be a tough one. But, you know, my concern goes beyond this rearrest of Nnamdi Kanu. What are the issues in the country? Nnamdi Kanu himself was born, I think, September 25, 1967. And that was when the Civil War started. That lasted for about 3 years, claiming millions of lives in Nigeria. And the issues that prompted this, we are yet to resolve in Nigeria. And like the Northern Coalition Group is saying, that this Nnamdi Kanu issue may not disappear with the rearrest. Can we look in the direction of referendum? And right now in the country, it's not just about Biafra. Other regions of the country are agitating. And what are these agitations focusing on? The engagement of the commonwealth of this country for the common good of this country. And unless we address this, we'll be arresting and rearresting and, you know, stampeding. That's on one side. On the other side, I think this has punctuated, or rather confirmed, the capacity we talk about of the government to act if they want to act. I have mentioned it when it was time to get Nnamdi Kanu to proscribe IPOB, they acted. When it was time to get him, to make him run away, they acted. Can we, divert the same attention to the bandits, the unknown gunmen, and solve the crisis in this land? And finally, I want to advise this morning that the government should please look in the direction of public relations. The definition of public relations means that, a planned, deliberate and sustained effort to create and sustain mutual understanding between an organization or a country and the publics. So can we come together as a nation, address our issues, rather than all these confrontations that are keeping us in poverty and not allowing us to register our presence in the polity of developed countries?
Right, that's something he mentioned that I'd like for you to react to. He said that the agitations, though Nnamdi Kanu may have been rearrested, but that the issues and the agitations, what he's championing, may not go to rest. And the question on the minds of a lot of people is, with the agitations we have seen in the Southeast, would his rearrest actually fuel what we have been seeing in the Southeast?
Well, his rearrest will not just fuel it. What will fuel more agitation is if he's not given fair trial. If the people perceive persecution instead of diligent, lawful prosecution and fair trial, then there will likely to be some backlash. My brother and friend Jide mentioned the issue of referendum. And the question is, why is Nigeria of today shying away from that much-needed referendum? On 11th February 1961, there was a referendum to determine the life of the British Cameroon. And in that referendum, the northern British Cameroon decided to go to Nigeria, and the southern British Cameroon decided to go to Cameroon. A lot of issues about religion and the rest played out. On 10th August 1963, Nigeria, this Nigeria that we have today, went into a referendum to determine the life of the old Midwestern region. And it was carved out from the then Western region through a referendum. In Catalan region of Spain, there was a referendum on whether they were going to remain or not. In Kurdish region of Turkey, of Iraq, sorry, there was a referendum. In Britain of late, there was a referendum whether they are going to remain with EU or whether they are going to go out of EU.
Absolutely. So
what the agitation that Nnamdi Kanu is championing is a civil agitation which the federal government has given the tent of criminality. It's embarrassing that government will do the normal Nigerian approach where a man and another man has issues with their land. They are tussling for land. The other man wants to bring in the police. He says there is a threat to his life, that he tried to kill him and all that. Meanwhile, none of those things existed. Otherwise, what has Nnamdi Kanu done as a person that will warrant the charges of treason, that will warrant the charges of money laundering, that will warrant the charges, those high-ranking charges, which, of course, government knows that they have to prove beyond all reasonable doubt.
Absolutely.
And it is the lack of that proof that has made government in the first instance to keep Nnamdi Kanu unlawfully in detention for 2 good years. You know what that means? And then even when he has now started going through his trial, government could not have the patience to wait for the law to take its course, and they stampeded him out of the country. Who is now the culprit in the matter between Nnamdi Kanu and federal government? I mean, let's look at issues the way they are, and not just being sentimental about, oh, he's insulting anybody. When has insult become a crime?
Right.
It is a law of thought. It is a tortious offense, of which if you feel insulted, when America was going for election, somebody made an image of Donald Trump, a naked image of Donald Trump with a small ball, and kept it in a massive square. Did you not see it? Had Donald Trump killed him? The problem we have today is that we are not operating democracy. What we have is a civilian rule managed by military hands. And those tenets of democracy are lacking in Nigeria. Otherwise, why would federal government be so sensuous about issues of criticism and issues of civil agitation? What is wrong with that? If we go by way of referendum, if government, the same government is saying that Nnamdi Kanu has so many followers, does that not tell you something? If he is alone, would he have such followers? If the government now claims that the followers are essentially illiterate, conduct a referendum and say, let only those with school cert. Of course, you know that to be a president in Nigeria, you need only school certificate. Right. To be a senator, a governor, only school certificate. Conduct a referendum and place a benchmark that only those with school certificate would vote in that referendum, and let us see whether Nnamdi Kanu is alone or not. Okay. Government is shying away from the truth, and government is hiding from its shadows.
Now, let's get your reaction to this again, Ajide, because he mentioned some things, talking about referendum and talking about fair trial and perhaps persecution, as he mentioned. And I'm wondering, in the context of fair trial, what will that be? In the context of persecution, what will that be? So perhaps you could just help us throw light to it before we come to the issue of why we are seemingly finding it difficult to have the referendum that he is, talking about.
Basically, the state will be prosecuting, and in the criminal justice value chain, you need thorough investigation, diligent prosecution, and a committed judiciary. But right now, there is a deep-rooted mutual distrust in the country. So you see people even looking at the tribe of the judge that is handling the case, the body language of the government, making different kinds of comments. But having said that, this same government promised towards 2015 election to shift the burden of proof from the state to the accused in criminal prosecution. That has not been done. And he has a team of lawyers who will defend him. Having said that, I have hinted that the present crisis in the southeastern parts of the country may be prompted like trying to call the cat a bad name to hang it. And again, I want to emphasize an issue that what we are experiencing today has a history. I doubt if any of the present leaders of Nigeria was there to sign the 1914 amalgamation. What led to the May 1953 Kanu riots are still the issues we are debating today. What led to the Civil War of 1970, there are issues we are debating. Now, let me connect this to even the present trajectory. You know, Nnamdi Kanu is a British citizen. Allegedly, he moved from Britain to Singapore and to Zurich, where he was allegedly rearrested and brought back to Nigeria. Now, Britain has exited Europe through Brexit by choice. They debated it. In fact, the Prime Minister then, because his position did not fly, resigned from office. All right, allowing the people to take a decision. Having said that, Singapore left Malaysia in 1965. And today, by virtue of resourceful leadership, is one of the best countries to live and work in the world. Is this relationship working? If we must remain united, can we have what is enshrined in Section 17 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, that says that a platform for our coexistence will be based on justice, fairness, and freedom? If we cannot guarantee this, and if again we want to even focus on the primary purpose of government as enshrined in Section 14 subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, that says that the security and the welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. And people of Nigeria, citizens, can call for security, call for welfare, if they appear not to be enjoying it from the government that should be providing. So why don't we go back to the basics? Because the Chinese say that you cannot carve a rotten wood. It appears right now that the project Nigeria we are trying to present and project and protect may be a rotten wood. Can we have a wood that can be carved? Can we work together so that we can enjoy the blessings of this nation? Like I said earlier, how can we engage the commonwealth of Nigeria for the common good of Nigerians? And I think that is the concern we have now, not just in the southeastern part of the country. Now we have the southwestern people also. We now have the Amotekun everywhere, even in the north. I just mentioned it now. The Northern Coalition are the ones saying this issue of Nnamdi Kanu will not go away. That can we have a referendum? And basically, democracy started in Athens in Greece. It is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. You don't forcefully lead a people. And the essence of being a nation is to enjoy the fortunes of that nation. So I want the government to go beyond this and look at the big picture rather than dealing with symptoms. And having put all this together, we constitutionally is entitled to very fair trial and diligent prosecution. And I have said it, that is if the trust capital is there for the government. And my big question this morning is that, looking at the antecedents we have experienced in Nigeria of late, is the trust capital there to assure us that there will be justice at the end of the day?
That's the question I'll be throwing to you. Is that trust capital there to assure the people of a fair trial?
I want to be optimistic, except government doesn't want to be sensitive. I want to be optimistic that government should, I use the word government, yes, advisedly, because we know what we're talking about. That government should ensure that Nnamdi Kanu gets fair trial. A leader of a movement that is idealistic, a movement that is based on consciousness and not on physical realm, right? A movement that is based and that is etched an opinion, a phenomenon that is etched in the mind and the psyche of the people. Anybody who is that leader must be handled very carefully. Nnamdi Kanu has said it, and we all say it, that he has lost virtually everything in this movement. Not just that he has lost his parents, he has no property anywhere, he has challenged anybody. If you see him own property anywhere in the world, you can go ahead and see that property. That this is a cause that he wants to fight for. And the people that he is fighting for feel he is doing it well. And they want to sustain the tempo, they want to sustain the agitation. Forget the fact that some elite who want to play the ostrich. I can tell you for free, Veronica, that nobody is enjoying the level of injustice, massive inequity, level of unfairness that is going on in Nigeria, because such level of injustice, inequity, and unfairness has held Nigeria down, has not allowed the people to exhibit and fulfill their God-given potentials and talent, to the extent that even the huge resources that we have, both human and material, in this country are not adequately harnessed. Life in Nigeria has become Herculean, and nobody's enjoying it. People are now saying, what is the way out? In every suggestion from both the elite, from the masses, from everybody, the solution is, let there be fairness and equity. Let us negotiate the basic essence of our existence. Because this was foisted on us. And as human beings, we should be able to determine two cannot walk unless they agree. There is no agreement in Nigeria. Nigeria is cracking. So why don't we, as intelligent people that God has made us, come together and decide, how do we relate? The template is there. We've been talking about it. We say restructure Nigeria and allow everybody to unleash his or her energies, and if you don't restructure Nigeria, allow the country to grow on the paradigm of justice and equity.
But you will recall what the president's statement recently. He asked the question: what is it? What is there to restructure? What is it?
What did he see?
The people want restructure.
What did he see?
And he also had said that the unity of Nigeria is not negotiable.
Look, Veronica, what did Mr. President see when he promised restructuring prior to 2015 election? Without that restructuring, do you think Nigerians would have elected him? Because he promised that. Nigerians elected him. So let him answer that question. What did he see then? And then what is he not seeing today? And who is telling Mr. President that restructuring is equal to disunity? It is even lack of restructuring that will fan the embers of disunity as it is fanning today, that will terminate the life of this country as it is threatening to terminate. And that is why Nigeria is on a precipice. So anybody who wants to be honest to himself should know that this agitation cannot just die. This call cannot just cease, because one, the trust capital in Nigeria has diminished so much across all nations that make up this country. In the early 60s, Chief Obafemi would describe Nigeria as a geographical expression. We expected that almost 50 years, more than 50 years down the line, that expression would have become a nation. But instead of doing that, Nigeria decays by the decade. Every succeeding decade is worse in terms of development, in terms of unity, in terms of everything. So why can't we arrest this continuous decay, this geometrical decay that we are seeing? Are we going to wait until the country implodes? That naturally religious people will say, God forbid. But God can only forbid when we, as Nigerians, forbid that Nigeria dies. If we don't, I can tell you that the trajectory we are taking, the direction we are going, does not ensure or guarantee the continued existence, success, and survival and development of this country. And the rest of the world must be interested in what is going on in Nigeria.
Right.
The news yesterday was that Ghana has launched a plant to build automobile. The big news in Nigeria yesterday was that Nnamdi Kanu was arrested. Can you see the difference?